My colleague Lin Fei has a bad memory and accidentally booked my flight ticket as a green train ticket. I asked her to change it back, and she agreed in person, but then forgot, causing me to be late for meeting a client and ruining the contract. The next day, I brought a gift to apologize, only to find that the original antique vase had been replaced with a decorative one. The client kicked me out, and the company also fired me. I confronted her, but she acted coy and apologized. Meow, I didn't mean to. I'll apologize to you if it comes to that. I flew into a rage and lunged at her, but she pushed me down the stairs, breaking my neck. When I opened my eyes again, Lin Fei pouted. Meow, I didn't mean to. I just picked the wrong mode of transportation. I kicked her hard. Meow, where's your mom? If you pick wrong, pick again. Lin Fei was kicked to the ground, crying, Yujia, I didn't mean to. I'll change it now. But I rubbed my hands together, and under my threats and inducements, she reluctantly changed her flight ticket. With the summer vacation approaching, all the discounted tickets were sold out, so I had to choose an overstandard ticket, which cost 200 more than before. I made Lin Fei reimburse me for that money. Her eyes turned red. Meow, I don't have money. Besides, this is your business trip. How can I pay? You know this is my business trip. You booked the wrong ticket and caused the delay, so naturally you should cover the excess losses. If you don't pay, I'll post it in the big group. If the big boss comes down for an inspection and sees this, Lin Fei's performance bonus for the month will probably be completely deducted. She had no choice but to make it up to me afterward. I double-checked the time and set off 4 hours early. I finally arrived at the destination safely and could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, Lin Fei arrived as soon as I landed. Seeing her at the door of my room, I was somewhat stunned. What are you doing here? The supervisor sent me to assist you, Mr. Li from Heimu is quite difficult to handle this time. Wouldn't it be better to have an extra pair of hands? Sure, pack up, we'll go to the restaurant now. Lin Fei immediately nodded. I was busy with the proposal, so I asked her to order the dishes, repeatedly reminding her that Mr. Li is allergic to peanuts and not to make any mistakes. When Mr. Li arrived, after the usual pleasantries, amidst a spread of business-style dishes, a plate of condensed milk buns and cola chicken wings appeared. I froze, turning to look at Lin Fei. Did you order this? Not bad, right? I gritted my teeth and lowered my voice. Lin Fei, I gave you the menu, and you still messed up. Meow, I forgot. What should I do? Mr. Li was generous. Forget it. If you like it, just eat more. You're yen after all. Seeing Mr. Li's attitude, Lin Fei immediately perked up. Thank you, Mr. Li. Meow, then I won't be polite anymore. She clenched her fists on both sides of her cheeks, tilted her head, picked up her chopsticks, and took a big bite. There was still condensed milk on the corner of her mouth. She licked it, making an exaggerated expression of enjoyment, which was simply breathtaking. The clients present didn't say anything, just smiled. My heart sank, and I immediately stood up to offer a toast. After one round, I couldn't hold on any longer and went to the restroom, taking a moment to report to the manager. She was speechless. Who told her to go? She said it was the supervisor. Manager Shang, I'll do my best, but you know, General Manager Li hates this kind of thing the most. Do your best. I touched my pocket, took a deep breath, washed my face, and then went over. As soon as I entered the private room, I heard a scream from inside. What's wrong with you? Don't you know Mr. Li is allergic to peanuts? How could there still be peanut brittle here? Upon hearing this, I immediately opened the door and went in, only to see Mr. Li's face swollen and red. Fortunately, he had brought medication with him, which helped alleviate the situation. I didn't dare to take any chances, so I quickly took him to the hospital. Lin Fei cried behind me. Meow, I just forgot for a moment. I'll apologize if it comes to that. I immediately slapped her across the face, then kicked her down to kneel on the ground. If you're going to apologize, you should have the right attitude. Lin Fei was forced to kneel on the ground from my blow, letting out a thud. The pain made her grimace, and she remained silent for a long time. Fortunately, the rescue was timely, and Mr. Li is not seriously injured, lying in the hospital bed at this moment. Looking at Lin Fei kneeling on the floor, he waved his hand impatiently. Get out. Lin Fei sobbed tearfully. Meow, I know I was wrong. I just forgot to. I kicked her again. Bowed respectfully. Mr. Li, I'm truly sorry. It was our mistake. Please rest for now. I'll come visit you another day. I grabbed Lin Fei by the arm and pulled her out, but she still wasn't letting go. Meow, it's just that I ate the wrong thing, but I'm fine now, right? Lin Fei, are you out of your mind? I already told you that Mr. Li is allergic to peanuts. I reminded you on WeChat, and you said you understood, yet you still made the mistake. Chew me, peck me again, and I'll squeeze your meow meow flat. You're so fierce. I'm scared. Then get out if you're Afraid, I told her to stay away from me in no mood, then started reporting to the manager, asking about Lee's preferences. Just as I hung up the phone, the supervisor called right back. What's wrong with you, Yujia? If the contract with Heimu falls through, you're fired. Hearing this, I sneered. I'll do my best to salvage the Heimu deal, but Supervisor Jiang, you did this on purpose, didn't you? Sending Lin Fei over and causing the client to end up in the hospital. Let me tell you, when I get back, I'm going to report you to death, you brainless idiot. Is Lin Fei your mother? You're always protecting her. He was so angry he couldn't speak. I hung up the phone directly and sent Mr. Lee's diagnostic report, along with all my work processes and chat records, to the managers and the big boss's OA email, wanting to make me take the blame. Dream on. Manager Shang took the earliest flight to the hotel, bringing along Mr. Lee's favorite antique vase. I also found out where he lived and went with the manager. Lin Fei followed along. Meow. I was wrong. Can I come along? I'll apologize to Mr. Lee in person. Manager Shang thought for a moment and nodded, allowing her to follow along. Lin Fei took the initiative to hold the vase and followed behind us. Recalling how she had replaced the antique vase with an ordinary decorative one in my previous life, I became more cautious. Manager Shang, how much does this vase cost? 250,000, and I had to ask a friend to buy it. The Lanya wood-fired pottery technique that Director Lee loves most was rushed over from Luqing. I understood, and Lin Fei beside me wrinkled her nose. Pfft, rich people really know how to play. It's just a vase, 10 yuan with free shipping. Don't talk nonsense. Hold it carefully for me. This vase is very important. Hearing me say that, Lin Fei didn't speak, but a shadow of gloom flashed in her eyes. I knew she was about to stir up trouble again. Sure enough, as we were nearing the destination, Lin Fei suggested buying some fruit. Meow, he can't eat peanuts, but fruit should be fine. Right, Manager Shang thought it made sense, so he parked the car in front of a fruit shop, and we went in together to pick out some fruit. I just lost sight of her for a moment, and she was gone. I was so startled that I broke out in a sweat. I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. I was about to curse when Lin Fei hurried over, clutching the vase box. Oops, sorry. I went to the bathroom. Don't worry, I took it with me. There's absolutely no problem. When she says that, I'd be a fool to believe her. Just as I was about to check, Lin Fei held me back. All right, hurry up. It won't be good if we're late. Hearing this, I became even more certain that the vase had been swapped. No rush. I know all of Mr. Lee's schedule for today. Let's check to avoid being tainted by the foul smell from the restroom. Seeing my insistence, Manager Shang also reacted, and immediately snapped. Open it. Lin Fei sighed in resignation, reluctantly putting down the box. When he opened it, sure enough, the antique inside had turned into a cheap decorative crystal vase. Seeing this, Manager Shang immediately lost his composure and grabbed her collar. Talk about the thing. Oops, I forgot where I put it, so I found a similar one. Without waiting for Manager Shang to speak, I slapped her twice. The slaps left Lin Fei's face red and swollen, and Manager Shang was also startled. Have you remembered now? If not, then we'll call the police. You were the one holding the box the whole time, and I seriously suspect you sold it. Manager Shang, don't waste words with her. She'll remember when the police arrive. Manager Shang nodded and was about to call the police when Lin Fei suddenly panicked. Don't call the police. I think they're just vases. What's the difference between a regular vase and those vases? They're just for holding flowers. Chirp, rich people just love to play tricks. It's not a big deal at all. Chirp, you little brat. I'll pull your mom's hair. I slapped her again, and Lin Fei started crying. If you don't speak properly, we'll go straight to the police. I'd rather give up the contract with Heimu than not send you to jail. Lin Fei immediately panicked. Faced with our questioning, she had no choice but to confess. She had casually thrown the vase into the toilet. Manager Shang nearly fainted when we arrived. Fortunately, no one had picked it up. After cleaning it and placing it back in the box, Manager Shang coldly said, "You book a ticket back now, Lin Fei." I will report this truthfully. Lin Fei's eyes turned red with tears. We didn't have time to deal with her and went straight to Director Lee. Manager Shang pleaded and cajoled, and even presented a vase as a gift before finally managing to appease the other party. It was already a week later by the time we returned after signing the contract. As soon as we arrived at the company, we received the disciplinary outcome for Lin Fei. 3 months' performance pay was deducted, and she received a D rating. For the month's assessment, if her performance remains at the bottom for 3 consecutive months, she will be fired. Lin Fei wasn't being all cutesy now, but she was giving me a strange look, which I didn't really care about. However, during lunch, she came up to me and said, "Mio, I only made a small mistake. Why did you have to report me? Because of you, I lost 3 months' worth of performance bonuses. That's just too much." After saying that, she even stomped her foot. In that moment, I Thought she was a bit off her rocker and didn't want to engage with her, but then our supervisor walked over. Yujia, you didn't handle this well. You're in the same team, and teamwork is something you need to work on. Thanks to me reporting to the higher-ups, you didn't get any further deductions from this month's evaluation. I couldn't help but sneer. She made a mistake and you're docking my pay. Are you out of your mind? What kind of attitude is that? Yujia, let me tell you, the contract with Heimu was Manager Shang's achievement. At best, you just made up for it. Don't even think about getting the commission for this deal. I didn't even bother responding to him, just rolled my eyes unexpectedly. When the salary was calculated at the end of the month, my pay was still only 8,000, with not a single cent in commission. I immediately became unsettled and rushed to the HR department. What's going on? Why is my salary so much lower? Where's the commission? Don't I get commission for the Heimu order? The HR clerk raised an eyebrow. Your team's performance report is right here, and there's no record of your performance. I glanced at the performance report, and my face instantly changed dramatically. Damn it, how can Linfei be so shameless? She added 3 million in business to her own performance, while I got nothing, so I've been on a business trip for a week just for fun. I talked to Manager Shang about the Heimu order. How did the 3 million disappear? You'll have to ask your department. We're only responsible for compiling the data. I was so angry I directly at Linfei in the group chat. How come my performance is counted under your name? 3 million contract, the Heimu deal. The payment receipt is still in my hands. Linfei quickly sent me a sticker of a kitten holding its cheeks. Oops, I forgot. I didn't mean to. Seeing this, I couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. So you want a kiss? Ha, I'll give you a kiss you'll never forget. For after coming out, Linfei was still smug. I switched companies today. I'll treat everyone to milk tea. Seeing me come out, she smiled sweetly. Yujia, a kiss? I'm sorry. I just forgot. Today I'll treat you to the most expensive one. Okay, alright, you go ahead. After saying that, I gathered all the wrong things Linfei had done over these days along with the evidence and sent them to her phone. Linfei immediately froze, staring at me for a long time without moving. I stared at her with a half smile. Either you go talk to the manager and clarify the salary issue, or I'll post it in the big group. If you make one more sound at me, believe me, I'll take it straight to the headquarters next. She hurriedly slunk into Manager Shang's office, only to hear a roar from inside, and then Manager Shang called me in. At the moment we passed by each other, I saw Linfei with a tear-streaked face. Meow, I just forgot. Okay, why didn't you forget your brain too? Her face instantly flushed red when I entered the office. Manager Shang's expression softened upon seeing me. Yujia, I've already reported this incident to the higher-ups, but you know how hard it is for the company to recruit people. This time, I'll have her return the money to you, and I'll also have the finance, HR, and sales departments recheck it. It's expected to be settled within half a month. Hearing Manager Shang say that, my heart sank. To report this performance data, it has to go through multiple layers of approval. HR verifies and compiles it, and finance signs off and processes the payment. Linfei did something wrong and still got so much. I don't believe it. These people know nothing. Manager's words now indeed strike me as somewhat laughable. I stared at her, and Manager Shang couldn't help but frown tightly. What's wrong? Is there still an issue? I understand. Thank you, Manager Shang. I had already filed a complaint through the OA system before, but the company simply ignored it. Since that's the case, I won't hold back either. It's true that the contract with Heimu has been signed, and the payment documents are in my hands, but they probably forgot one thing. General Manager Li is coming for an on-site inspection. Since this business is credited to Linfei, she can take responsibility for it when the time comes. I simply took my annual leave. At this time, my supervisor didn't make things difficult, but as he approved the leave, he looked at me and said, "Young man, sometimes you shouldn't be so hot headed. What's the point of posting those things? They still end up going nowhere. Sometimes you need to know how to keep your sharp edges in check. Thank you for your guidance and mentorship, supervisor. I will remember this lesson." He patted my shoulder, smiling at me, and I held back my disgust, took the leave slip, and turned to leave. Before leaving, I had a handover with my colleague, as there was still quite a bit of work to do during my vacation. At that moment, Linfei came over, saw me, and couldn't help but smile. "Aren't you going to have your milk tea?" "No thanks, I'm afraid it might upset my stomach. You should drink it yourself." "Chu, I really know I was wrong. If you don't drink it, you're not giving me any face." Holding back my disgust, I took the milk tea from her hand, opened it, and poured it all over her head. She immediately screamed, "Damn it, Yujia, are you crazy? See, you can speak properly after all. Why act all cute, at your age? Do you still think You're a fresh-faced model. After saying that, I threw the milk tea at her and walked away. She was so angry she couldn't help but stomp her foot. You wait for me. 5. I didn't care at all, but as soon as I left, Lin Fei posted a picture in the group chat. Meow. I just accidentally spilled it. So cold. She posted a selfie at a 45-degree angle, her hair wet and styled deliberately, looking like a pure white lotus flower. This image caused the brainwashed fans in the company to stand by her side and scream abuse at me. Are you sick? Lin Fei just made a mistake. Do you really have to act like this? Workplace bullying is unacceptable. How could our company have someone like you? Apologize now. I admit that Lin Fei is somewhat attractive, and with those big false eyelashes and heavy makeup, she does become a preferred target for many men, but that doesn't mean she can do whatever she wants. I didn't even respond, just changed my status to on annual leave. Then I found the nearest small town and began a short trip. At first, everything was fine, but after 3 days, Mr. Lee and his team were coming for an on-site inspection, and my phone was almost overwhelmed with calls. Before I left, I had already told my colleagues that all the plans and proposals were stored on the computer, but a plan is one thing, and putting it into practice is another. Lin Fei was forced into action, so it's no wonder she made mistakes. My colleague helped broadcast the whole thing for me. In the video, Lin Fei stood in the conference room, and as soon as she opened her computer, a revealing personal photo of her was displayed on the screen, causing an uproar among everyone present. Her face flushed red as she quickly said, "Oops, I'm so sorry, I forgot I brought my personal computer from home." Manager Lee just glanced at her without saying a word. The supervisor quickly stepped in to defuse the situation. Young people are bold, just get it done quickly. But as soon as Lin Fei opened her PPT and had barely spoken a few words, Manager Lee interrupted her. "I've already seen your proposal. I just want to ask you 3 questions. What's special about your market location and positioning? What's your brand positioning? And where lies your core competitiveness?" Lin Fei stood on stage, stunned, then raised one hand, making a fist near her ear and waving it twice. Chirp, chirp, forgot all about it. Seeing him like this, Mr. Lee immediately recognized him. "You're the one who made me allergic to peanuts and nearly choked me to death." Upon hearing this, Lin Fei immediately flushed red. "Meow, I didn't mean it. Didn't I already apologize? I even gave you an antique vase, worth over 200,000 yuan. Shut up." The supervisor, standing nearby, flushed red. "Lin Fei, do you know what you're saying?" Lin Fei waved her hand. "Meow, what I said is true. Why are you being so harsh? Didn't you say that as long as I apologize, everything will be fine? Meow, did I do anything wrong?" Manager Shang looked at her, his expression darkening. "All right, this proposal wasn't submitted by you. Was it her work? How come you can't answer these 3 questions? The supervisor remained silent. At that moment, a colleague spoke up for me. "It was Yujia, but she's on annual leave. She can't make it back now." Mr. Lee crossed his arms. "You really treat me like a joke. Millions in deals begging me to sign the contract, and once it's done, you just walk away, right?" Hearing this, the boss beside him frowned. "Where's Yujia? Have her come." Manager Shine had no choice but to video call me. I had already learned everything through my colleagues. When the manager video called me, my face appeared on the big screen, and I had no documents at hand, so I finally spoke up. 6. Sorry, leaders, Mr. Lee. I thought the commission had been given to Lin Fei, since she was in charge of this order. That's why I took my annual leave. Now let me explain these 3 issues." Seeing me speak confidently, Mr. Lee's expression softened considerably, and the senior leader's demeanor gradually grew more satisfied. When I finished speaking, applause broke out in the conference room. The senior leader was very pleased, and General Manager Lee kept nodding. "It seems your company does have people who can actually get things done. Next time, don't keep talking about meow. We're not in kindergarten, pretending to be little babies." Lin Fei's face turned bright red, and I just smiled, hanging up the video call before letting out a long sigh. My colleague quickly sent me a message. "Impressive." Right after the meeting, the big boss called them all into the office. Lin Fei came out in tears, and the supervisor was removed from their position. They say he guaranteed this deal was foolproof, but who would have thought the credit and money would go to someone else? And it even turned into a joke. I smiled and said nothing. After the New Year holiday ended, on my way back, I received a commission of 120,000 yuan. The moment I got the money, I submitted my resignation. Manager Shang tried every possible way to persuade me to stay, saying, "Yujia, you've been doing so well. Why do you want to leave? The higher-ups have already dealt with the last incident." Manager Shang, let's be frank, you should know very well how the salary process and commissions work. I'm not spelling it out, just to save face for both of us. Manager Shang was taken aback for a moment, then gave a wry smile. "I know you're not convinced, but Lin Fei has connections, her boyfriend is the company's crown prince, there's nothing I can do about it. With that, she spread her hands. If you insist on resigning, that's fine too, I'll sign it right away, but you'd better think it through. I never imagined there was such a backstory. In my past life, whenever I clashed with Lin Fei, every incident was blown out of proportion only to be brushed aside lightly. Back then, I thought it was because Lin Fei was good at acting cute and had a pretty face that they treated her that way. I didn't expect the power behind her to be so strong, which only strengthened my resolve to cut all ties with them. If I stayed any longer, I might end up repeating the same mistakes from my previous life, so I signed the resignation agreement without hesitation. When the top leadership heard I was leaving, they were also greatly shocked. Yujia, if it's just for such a trivial matter, I suggest you stay here and observe for a while. The company is currently conducting inspections, and if any violations are found, dismissal is certain. Does that include the Crown Prince? I've mentioned in the OA emails countless times about what Lin Fei has done, but no one cares. Since that's the case, I'm no longer willing to compete with her over this small piece of land. The top leader's expression darkened slightly upon hearing this, and after a long pause, he finally sighed and signed his approval. After resigning and completing the handover, I took my new contract and jumped ship to work for Mr. Lee at Heimu. After the plan incident, Mr. Lee extended an olive branch to me. Now, I have jumped ship to Heimu, and even though it's just a branch company, I have a lot of say. Before returning to headquarters, Mr. Lee patted me on the shoulder and said, Yujia, work hard. I have high hopes for you. Don't worry, Mr. Lee. I will definitely boost the branch company's performance. With Mr. Lee's support, I began to implement reforms boldly and recruited a few like-minded friends to join the effort. However, Lin Fei's side was full of problems. 7. The first thing I did when I came up was to snatch their clients. Manager Shang couldn't swallow his anger and called me, Yujia, after all, you were trained by our company. How could you be so ungrateful? Shang Jing, in business, it's all about profit. I'm just here to make money. If your company had truly taken good care of its clients, you wouldn't have given me such an advantage. Hearing this, she was left speechless. I knew that Lin Fei's little kiss had truly harmed her. It wasn't until a bidding conference that we crossed paths again. Manager Shang attended with Lin Fei, while I brought my assistant. From a distance, I saw Manager Shang approaching. Yujia, I didn't expect to see you here. Meeting again today. We are opponents, and I won't go easy on you. I nodded as well. I won't either. Lin Fei was holding her phone, video chatting nearby. Dear Chu, look over here. So many people. I see the person who bullied me again. See that? It's her. She's the one who got my performance bonus stocked. Hearing this, the guy on the phone instantly flew into a rage. Who is it? Point the camera at her. I'll teach her a lesson later. Just as Lin Fei aimed her camera at me, I reached out without hesitation and slapped her phone away. Did you get my permission before trying to film me? Are you trying to steal company secrets? Meow. What nonsense are you talking? I didn't mean to do that. How would I know if you were secretly filming our bid documents? What if you're stealing company secrets? Lin Fei was furious, but Manager Shang advised from the side, all right, Lin Fei, don't make a scene. If this escalates, neither of us will be able to enter the venue. She immediately stamped her foot, picked up her phone, and started complaining. I didn't say anything, just smiled and walked straight into the venue. When I arrived at the bidding site, I had just submitted my documents when I heard Shang Jing's furious roar from behind me. Lin Fei, are you out of your mind? I told you to bring the bidding documents, and what did you bring? Company manuals. Do you even have a brain? And you brought 100 copies. Upon hearing this, everyone burst into laughter, but Lin Fei still didn't realize her mistake. Oops, I just forgot. Sorry. Manager Shang raised his eyebrows. You're utterly unreasonable. Lin Fei took 2 steps back, pulled out her phone, and immediately started complaining. Darling, Shang Jing is scolding me. I've caused trouble. What trouble? Don't worry. I'll help you sort it out. Manager Shang snatched the phone from her. She replaced the bid documents with company manuals. Over 100 copies. Our company is directly disqualified. Young Master Liang, you'll have to explain this to the big boss herself. After saying that, he hung up the phone and left immediately. Lin Fei walked behind, fidgeting with her hands. Meow. I didn't do it on purpose. Why did it turn out like this? I smiled. This bidding process went as expected, and our company took the lead. After winning the bid, I specifically posted on my social media to let my former colleague see. Coincidentally, the new company is just 2 floors away from the old one. When I went back to the company, I saw Lin Fei downstairs. Behind her, she clung tightly to the young man's hand, saying, Meow. Didn't you say before that even if I made a mistake, you'd help me fix it? Why Are you being so harsh? She shook the other person's hand, looking coquettish, like a child. The man abruptly shook off her hand and immediately slapped her across the face. How old are you? Almost 30, and still trying to act like a kid. How childish can you be? Do you have any idea the losses this time amount to tens of millions? You're lucky you weren't skinned alive. Lin Fei's face was swollen and red from his beating, and she froze in shock. You said you liked it when I acted like that? I like real elitists, not someone like you pretending to be one. Sister, hearing those words, Lin Fei was instantly stunned. You messed up this bidding, so get out yourself. No, she grabbed the other person's hand, begging desperately, I'll do anything for you. Wasn't it me who helped you cover up the embezzlement last time? How dare you tell me to leave? Do you believe that if I expose this matter, no one will? Slap, 2 more slaps. You dare threaten me? Do you have any evidence? That's my father's company, and I use my father's money. Why should I listen to you? You'd better not let me find out you're pulling any tricks behind my back, or I'll kill you. She trembled all over in fear, too scared to say a word, and burst into tears. Meow. I didn't do it on purpose. Why are you treating me like this? She stomped her foot, turned to look at me, her eyes suddenly turning blood red, and charged straight at me. Yeah, it was you, wasn't it? Did you file a complaint? I shrugged. I'm not even in the same company as you. Why would I complain about you? Come on, lady, take a good look at yourself. You're caking up with powder, and you're still chirping. I rolled my eyes and stepped forward in my high heels, but she didn't care, grabbing me by the arm. You stop right there. You have to explain things clearly before you leave. I was so annoyed I yanked my arm free. If you keep harassing me, watch out. I'll beat you up. I won't show any mercy. I raised my hand, and she seemed to remember I'd hit her before, immediately backing down, stomping her foot. Meow, you're all picking on me. Seeing her idiotic expression, I couldn't help but sneer coldly. You should go see a neurologist if you're fine. I turned and walked away, probably too shaken. After Lin Fei was fired from the company, she turned her attention to me. She started a live stream to complain about me. Meow, I just made a mistake occasionally, but she complained to the company about me, even causing me to get fired, just because she had good performance. In the live stream, she displayed the entire screen of my OA complaint. Though some parts were clearly photoshopped, I took a closer look and realized that the OA interface was a direct screenshot from the senior leader's computer. No wonder they didn't respond when I complained to the senior leader earlier. She had already infiltrated their inner circle. It seems Lin Fei isn't just connected to the crown prince here, she even has some unclear relationship with the senior leader. Seeing this at this moment, I couldn't help but laugh. At the time, I was applying for a live stream connection. When she saw my profile picture, she was instantly startled, but the viewers in the live stream encouraged her. Fei, don't be afraid, connect with her, let's see what else she has to say. That's right, this woman is so shameless, she got you fired. What kind of spoiled wife literature? Quickly go live with her. Seeing netizens saying this, she mustered up her courage and went live with me. The moment the connection was made, the live stream was instantly flooded with comments. Shameless, relying on her own little skills, she's jealous of our Feifei's beauty, so she's reporting us. I can't stand tattletales, thinking they're still in elementary school. Who would have thought this woman, who looks so clean and neat, would do such a shameless thing, and in the end, she got herself kicked out of the company. 9. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Lin Fei, you have the nerve to play the victim and accuse others first. First, I resigned on my own, all because you stole my performance. Second, you replaced the antique vase meant for the guest with a crystal one. Was I wrong to report you for that? Third, I told you not to order peanuts because the guest was allergic, but you still did, causing them to be hospitalized. You didn't even mention that. You were fired because you swapped the company's tender documents with the employee handbook. And what's more, I'm sick of a grown adult like you constantly acting all cutesy and cooing. Without another word, I took advantage of her not having reacted yet and immediately threw out all the evidence, chat logs, medical records, the previous company's handling results. Everything was backed up with screenshots and undeniable proof. Lin Fei panicked, never expecting me to move so quickly and lay out all the truth right then and there. Furious, she hastily ended the live stream, but netizens were quicker, immediately taking screenshots. Lin Fei became an instant hit, nicknamed Kissy Sis. Where did Kissy Sis go today? Kissy Sis is really ruthless, daring to tamper with the tender documents. Someone like Meow would not survive even the internship period at our company. To be honest, is Sister Meow quite high in rank? She can actually see the general manager's computer screen. Netizens are truly Sherlock Holmes, quickly spotting the clue they actually managed to uncover. some clues, and some even found Lin Fei's alternate account, revealing traces of her interactions with different men, including the general manager. Later, I heard from a former colleague that the boss's son even sent people to look for Lin Fei. Upon learning that she was also involved with the general manager, he immediately beat her up and demanded the return of all the gifts he had given her. Lin Fei had to pay a lot of money. When she went to find the general manager, he had already been transferred to another position, leaving Lin Fei completely hopeless. I saw her again later, on a food street. The company is responsible for the planning of this street. I just went there to take some photos and inspect the area, but I never expected to run into Lin Fei. She was dressed in revealing, cool clothing, standing by the roadside selling cold noodles, while swaying her body at the customers. Meow. Want some cold noodles? Say yes, meow, and I'll make it for you. What flavor would you like, spicy or extra spicy? I have everything here. The big brother, embarrassed to see her wearing a short crop top and shorts that revealed her buttocks, blushed instantly. I'll have a spicy cold noodle. You have to say, meow wants it, meow wants it. Say it again, I want a kiss. Lin Fei put her fists beside her cheeks, acting cute. Sorry, bro, I'm just buying some cold noodles, so hurry up and make them for me. Lin Fei, however, insisted, saying, meow, meow wants it, meow. Your sister, meow. At that moment, a plump sister stepped up from behind the older brother, grabbed her hair, and swung her arm to strike. Chirp, chirp, let you chirp. After 3 slaps, Lin Fei's mouth was bleeding, still chirping. Bitch, just selling some cold noodles and you're already acting all slutty. She flipped over the stall in one swift motion, pointing at the older brother and cursing loudly. I was wondering why you keep cooking at home but never eat it, insisting on coming out here. Turns out you've got your eyes on this slutty fox spirit. Get the hell back home. The older brother looked embarrassed and was about to speak when the older sister slapped him, shutting him up. She turned her head again to look at Lin Fei. Meow, ha, I'll show you what meow really means. 10. The eldest sister was truly brave, directly pulling open the front of Lin Fei's clothes and giving a hard squeeze. Lin Fei screamed in agony, and even I felt the pain just watching. All the diners around turned to look, pointing and whispering. Someone recognized her. Isn't that Meow's sister, selling it here? Oh come on, it's all fake, acting cute all day long. Good job, you deserved it. The older sister was still not satisfied and sat on her, slapping her face repeatedly with both hands, delivering over a dozen slaps. Lin Fei screamed in pain, but no one paid attention. Everyone was just watching for entertainment. Some even filmed the scene and uploaded it to the local online community, completely humiliating Lin Fei. I couldn't help but pinch my nose, but out of kindness, I still called the police for her. Mainly, I didn't want them to ruin the layout plan of this street. After all, we're here to make money. When the police arrived, she was lying on the ground half naked, her face swollen and tearful. Chirp, chirp, I just made cold noodles, she sobbed. Officer, she's not selling cold noodles at all. She's a prostitute, standing on the street all day without clothes on. Shameless. The woman was furious, while Lin Fei wept uncontrollably. Unable to speak, eventually, the police took them all away. I instructed my assistant, from now on, no one like this is allowed to set up food stalls on the street. It's seriously damaging our city's image. The assistant took notes one by one. After that, I never saw Lin Fei again. I heard she changed her path, started dating a wealthy older man, but unfortunately, the original wife wasn't someone to be trifled with. She scratched her face and sent her back to her hometown. I hope her meow will bring her good luck for a lifetime. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Our whole family was doing farm work on the mountain. Dad, quick-eyed and swift-handed, tore off a section of the cobra's tail and shouted for Grandma to cook it with chicken in a pot that evening. Calling it a dragon and phoenix duel, my younger brother exclaimed that snake meat was the most delicious and that there was too little to go around. Dad looked at him with adoration and said, if my son loves it, then I'll tear off another piece of the snake's tail. With that, he reached his hand toward the snake hole. Mom and Grandma also urged him on, afraid that my younger brother might go hungry. I quickly stopped him. That's the tail of a cobra. If you reach into the hole again, what if the snake's head is facing outward? Dad cursed his bad luck and decided not to catch it anymore, but my younger brother got angry and, taking advantage of my inattention, swung a hoe and broke my kneecap. I cried and begged them to take me to the hospital. However, they were reluctant to spend money on medical expenses and just used some folk remedies to patch me up. In the end, I became a cripple that everyone looked down on. Later, in order to buy a famous brand for my younger brother, my grandmother even decided to sell me to a violent old bachelor. From then on, I lived a miserable Life under domestic violence until my death. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my father tore off the snake's tail. This time, I clapped my hands vigorously. Dad is so amazing, truly the bravest man in our village. Right now, Dad is holding a piece of snake tail, proudly laughing and saying, "Mom, slaughter a chicken tonight. Let's have a pot of dragon and phoenix feast. Precious loves it the most." Grandma beamed with joy, patted my younger brother's head, and nodded. Repeatedly, I stared blankly at the scene, feeling my perfectly intact left leg. Finally, I confirmed that I had been reborn. My 10-year-old brother licked his lips and said, "Dad, it's too little, not enough to eat, not enough." Dad had caught snakes a few times before and brought them home. My brother loved eating snake meat and drinking snake soup the most, always exclaiming how delicious and fresh it was. The leftover snake soup would be poured into my bowl, but when I thought of the snake's appearance, I couldn't bring myself to eat it. In my grandmother's eyes, this was just me being pretentious and difficult. Unfortunately, it wasn't until my kneecaps were shattered that I realized how insignificant a girl's life is in a family that values sons over daughters. In their eyes, I was always a dispensable presence. Even if I died, no one would care, let alone just breaking a leg. Their eyes are only on my younger brother. In that case, these so-called family members are better off without. If you like digging out snake holes, then go ahead and dig. Seeing this, Dad gave his younger brother a doting smile. All right, since Precious loves to eat it, I'll pull this creature out and take a piece of its tail." Mom patted Dad's back reproachfully. "You're the one spoiling him. Hurry up then, it's almost dark." Grandma also laughed and said, "Exactly, be quick about it. Don't keep my precious grandson waiting with his cravings." Recovering from my daze, I immediately clapped my hands and said, "Dad, you're amazing. You're truly the bravest man in our village." Seeing this, Dad became somewhat smug and self-satisfied. Without another word, he reached his hand into the snake hole. The next moment, he let out an earth-shattering scream. "It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. The damn thing bit me." Father's face contorted in pain. He exerted force with his arm and forcibly pulled a robust cobra out of its snake hole. At first glance, the ferocious snake head was clamped tightly on the webbing between Dad's thumb and index finger. Dad screamed in terror once again. He began frantically shaking his arm, trying to fling the cobra off, but even as he whipped the snake's body like a lash, it stubbornly refused to let go. The little brother, who had been craving food just moments before, had never seen such a scene. His face turned pale with fright, and he hid behind his grandmother, bursting into loud sobs. "My child," grandmother let out a sorrowful cry, and mother also cried out and threw herself forward. One of them grabbed the snake's body, while the other pried open its mouth with all her might. It took an immense effort to pull the snake's head off Father's hand, then they flung it to the ground and smashed it with a hoe. Father was already lying on the ground, groaning in agony. His arms swelled and turned purple at a speed visible to the naked eye. As soon it took on a dark, blackish hue. Mom was terrified out of her wits and cried out in a trembling voice, "This is bad. The snake is highly venomous. We need to get him to the hospital right away." Unexpectedly, Grandma's eyes sharpened as she snapped, "What hospital? How much would that cost? It's just snake venom, isn't it? Suck the poison out. That's how they do it on TV. I'll go find some herbs later, and I'm sure he'll be fine." As soon as the words were spoken, his murky old eyes suddenly fixed on me. "Doggy, come here and suck the poison out of your father." Mom was also frantic with worry and yelled at me, "What are you standing there for? Do you want your father to die? Hurry up and come suck out the poison." I sneered inwardly. He pretended to look utterly terrified on his face. His legs trembled as he took a step back, his lips quivering. "Grandma, Mom, I'm scared." Before he could finish speaking, his eyes rolled back, and he directly fainted on the ground, then lay completely still. Useless waste of money. Absolutely useless at a critical moment. Grandma was so angry that she cursed and scolded, stepping forward to kick me hard twice. Still not satisfied, she slapped me randomly across the face. I gritted my teeth and endured the pain. My body felt as soft as mud. No matter how hard she hit him, he just wouldn't wake up. Father's painful groans interrupted Grandma. She hurried to Father's side, and seeing her son growing weaker, she completely panicked. I secretly opened my eyes just a slit, carefully watching their situation. Afraid that Grandma might hit her with a tool, she had no choice but to stand up and run away. On the other hand, Grandma didn't dare to risk her own life and turned her gaze toward Mother. "You, hurry up and suck the poison out for your man, quickly." Mother was a wife Grandma had bought with money. She has never had any dignity in front of her grandmother. All these years, she has been completely suppressed, looking at her husband's blackened wound, even though there is immense fear in her heart. But under Grandma's cannibalistic glare, he ultimately didn't dare resist. and habitually complied, she sobbed as she leaned down, sucking at the blackened wound, mouthful by mouthful. With each suck, she spat out a mouthful of blackened, poisoned blood. Seeing this, Grandma nodded with delight. She ran up the mountain by herself. After a short while, she returned with some herbs. She hurriedly crushed these unknown herbs with a stone, mixed them with saliva, and then haphazardly applied the mixture to her father's wound. After doing all this, Grandma breathed a sigh of relief. She shouted to her mom, "Quick, lend a hand, help carry your man back, he'll be fine after a night's sleep." By now, Mom was already feeling dizzy, and her mouth was burning with pain, but she didn't dare disobey. Summoning her strength, she and Grandma lifted Dad from either side and carried him back home. Hearing Grandma say everything was fine, my younger brother started laughing happily again. He quickly ran to the dead cobra, picked up its remains. He licked his lips, looking greedy. Grandma saw this and praised with a smile, "What a good child, knowing not to waste food." As for me, no one paid any attention at all. I didn't get up from the ground until they had gone far away. Looking at the blood and mess all over the ground, my face was expressionless. The sky was growing dark. I walked toward home. Walking by the river, I saw my younger brother shouting and yelling as he was peeling off snakeskin. "Delicious, delicious." He saw me and sneered coldly, "You wretched girl, you finally know to come back. What are you staring at? There's none for you." I walked away without saying a word. I had just arrived home when I heard my grandmother's sharp cries and curses. "My son, how could you leave like this? How am I supposed to live without you? It's all because of that damned snake." I froze. Through the large gap in the door, I saw my father lying stiffly on the bed, motionless. I know Dad is already dead. There's an indescribable feeling in my heart, but I know I'm not sad. Grandma held Dad, crying and cursing at the same time, and Mom collapsed on the floor by the bed, her face turning a bluish gray, her lips swollen badly, and she reached out to Grandma for help. "Mom, I feel terrible. I think I've been poisoned. Take me to the hospital." Grandma, interrupted, immediately flared up and scolded Mom, pointing at her. The hospital, that's all you think about. Where would we get the money? Your husband is gone. There's no money left in this house for you to waste. Just suck it out with your mouth a few times. What could possibly happen? Endure it a little, and it'll pass. You're just too spoiled." With that, she completely ignored her and began wailing over Dad, lost in her own grief. "It's all fate. Luckily, there's Precious. According to the ancestors' belief, if a father dies early, his luck can be passed on to his son. In that case, Precious is destined to bring honor to the family. You can rest assured and go." At that moment, the mother could no longer hold on and collapsed to the ground, falling unconscious. A short while later, the younger brother returned. As soon as he entered the door, he started shouting loudly, "Grandma, I want to eat Dragon and Phoenix Battle. Dragon and Phoenix Battle. All right, Grandma is coming." Grandma took the snake and headed straight into the kitchen. The younger brother didn't even notice the situation inside the house and immediately ran off to play. During dinner time, the younger brother ate with great satisfaction. Only after eating and drinking his fill did he ask his grandmother, "Why aren't Mom and Dad coming to eat?" Grandma wiped away her tears and said, "Your father is dead." My younger brother started to cry in a fake manner. "It's all because of my sister. She wouldn't let Dad do drugs, and that's what killed him." As soon as these words were spoken, Grandma's long suppressed emotions, it was as if they had found an outlet for their emotions. They grabbed me, who was crouching to the side, and began to punch and kick. They cursed while hitting me. I covered my head and curled up into a ball. My back, legs, and arms are constantly in pain. "You're nothing but a jinx, a harbinger of doom, the one who brings misfortune to your father." She cursed sharply, her spittle spraying onto my face. "If it weren't for you slacking off and pretending to be dead, refusing to help your father with his addiction, how could he have left? I should have drowned you in the piss bucket the day you were born. All these years of food have been wasted on you. You're the reason your father died. For the rest of your life, you'll work like a slave for your brother to atone for your sins." After all, she was getting old. After beating me for a while, Grandma, panting and out of breath, finally let me go. My heart feels heavy. It was clearly my younger brother who complained that there wasn't enough snake meat to eat, the one who started all this, yet all the blame is placed on me. In the end, in this family, daughters are meant to die. Father's funeral arrangements were handled with extreme carelessness. Grandma couldn't bear to spend money on a coffin. She simply wrapped him in a tattered straw mat. Then, we found some relatives to carry him to the back hill and bury him in a spot. There was no ceremony, no crying, only Grandma murmuring in front of the grave, "Son, rest assured, your fortune has been transferred to Precious. Precious will surely have a bright future. Go in peace." After being unconscious for a day, Mom, tough as nails, managed to pull through. However, the snake venom had already ravaged her body. She suffered from severe long-term effects. Her hands would always tremble uncontrollably, her vision became blurry, and her body was extremely weak. She would become breathless after walking just a few steps. She became a cripple who couldn't live without others. Grandma, out of great kindness, found the village's barefoot doctor for her and got her some of the cheapest herbal medicine. I can see you're the kind of woman who brings bad luck to her husband. Get well soon, there's a pile of work waiting for you at home. After doing all this, Grandma paid no more attention to Mom. The responsibility of taking care of her naturally fell on me. At first, my mother was cold toward me and commanded me to serve her without any hesitation. After all, my younger brother would visit her often and even made her a promise. Mom, Grandma said, I will definitely make a fortune. In the future, I will send you to the best hospital, cure you, and take care of you in your old age. Mother beamed with joy upon hearing this, but as time went by, the younger brother realized that Mother couldn't buy him delicious food or give him pocket money, and his limited patience quickly ran out. He visited Mother less and less often, until the very end, they simply stopped coming. My mother's hopes shifted entirely from my younger brother to me. She began to treat me with kindness and warmth. My doggy isn't the least bit ugly, if you ask me. She should be renamed Beauty. Wow, today's porridge is really delicious. My daughter's cooking skills are getting better and better. Sometimes, after seeing me get scolded or beaten by my grandmother, she would comfort me, saying, "You, just bear with it a little longer. All the money in the house is with her." I know this isn't motherly love, it's the last straw she can grasp in her boundless despair. She's afraid that even I will completely abandon her, then she would truly be left to rot and die in this bed. I responded indifferently to her attempts to please me. I still brought her meals on time and helped her wash, but rarely replied to her words. The change in my mother's attitude made me understand more about human nature. At the same time, my grandmother's behavior became increasingly paranoid and bizarre. She began buying snakes in the village. Anyone who caught a snake could sell it to her. This kind of spending behavior, for a grandmother who has been frugal her whole life, seemed somewhat unbelievable to me. Later, I overheard a whisper from my grandmother to my younger brother, and only then did I understand the reason behind it. "Precious, you love eating snake, so Grandma will let you eat it every day from now on." Grandma found out that snake is also called little dragon. The more snake you eat, not only can you avenge your father, but you can also absorb the dragon's fortune into your belly. In the future, you're bound to transform into a dragon and soar to great heights, achieving unstoppable success. Thus, at the family dining table, we could almost eat snake every day, stewed, braised, deep-fried. Grandma prepared it in various ways for my younger brother. My younger brother was overjoyed about this, eating with great delight, and he gained a significant amount of weight. I saw it all but remained silent. As time went on, my younger brother began to experience abdominal pain and diarrhea, and sometimes constipation. His complexion turned sallow. He looks plump, but his spirit is extremely listless. Grandma believed it was the dragon's energy transforming her brother's body and didn't pay it much mind, until one night, her brother suddenly developed a high fever, clutching his stomach and rolling around on the bed, letting out hysterical screams. Grandma panicked and called for the village's barefoot doctor. The barefoot doctor, hearing that he ate snakes every day, exclaimed in shock, "This means there are parasites in his stomach. Quickly take him to the hospital." I was called upon and rushed my younger brother to the county hospital in a frantic hurry. The test results came out. The doctor held up the x-ray with a grave expression. "See these white shadows? They're all parasites, in the liver, the intestines, and they might even have invaded the child's brain. Why did you feed him so many wild snakes?" The images in the film were shocking to see. Grandma didn't understand the medical terms, but she knew something terrible had happened. She collapsed to the ground, wailing and slapping her thighs. "Impossible, my precious is destined to become a dragon. How could he be harmed by these worms?" My brother was rushed into the hospital room, but it was already too late. He would run a high fever at times and fall into a coma at others. Within just a few days, he stopped breathing in extreme agony. I saw his eyes wide open when he died. Is this the story behind the idiom, "die with a grievance"? Grandma cried her heart out, even more intensely than when Dad died. Holding her younger brother's body, she fell into a long, dazed silence. The vitality in her brow seemed to have been drained away. Her younger brother's funeral was still hastily arranged. He was buried beside his father's grave. This time, Grandma didn't go, as if she didn't dare to face Father. When Mother learned that her son had died, her expression was strange. She didn't cry or show any grief, but I clearly knew that she often cried secretly at night, crying her heart out, repeatedly calling out Precious. Even though the son ignored her, she still worried about him. Her son was her entire world. At this moment, her world had collapsed. How could she not be heartbroken? But she would need me in the future, yet she couldn't show it in front of me. During this period, her health improved a bit, and sometimes she could stand up and take a few steps on her own. It was clear that her body wasn't as weak as imagined. Late at night, when all was quiet, Grandma stared blankly at the night sky, then suddenly turned to me. "Everyone in the village says I'm the one who harmed Precious. What do you think?" I shook my head firmly. My brother didn't have the fate to bear the dragon's aura. It must be that his fortune wasn't enough. Grandma's ashen face instantly brightened. Suddenly, she grabbed my shoulders, tears streaming down her aged face. "Yes, doggy, you're right. It's just not in our fate. Our Lincoln family doesn't have enough blessings." "Not enough blessings? How can you blame me?" "What does it have to do with me? If you want to blame someone, blame your mother, hanging on between life and death. She's dragging down the family's fortune." At this moment, Grandma seemed to have found an outlet for her emotions. She rushed into the room in a frantic hurry. Immediately, the sound of Mother's screams and pleas could be heard from inside. "It's all because of you, you jinx. You wretched woman who brings misfortune to your husband and children, since you entered our Lincoln family. You haven't had a single good day. It's you who brought the bad luck. It's you who caused my son's death. And now you've caused my grandson's death too. Look at your wretched state, dragging on half dead like this. The family's fortune has been completely drained by you." I stood outside the door, watching all of this coldly. For some reason, I felt a sudden realization in my heart. Emotional outbursts always find the weakest person to bear the burden, just like my lame self in my previous life. Grandma's attitude towards me has improved a lot. It's clear that she expects me to take care of her for the rest of her life. Mother was beaten black and blue every day, becoming a punching bag, but she wanted to live, and her endurance was beyond imagination. I worked diligently every day. In my spare time, I took care of my mother and grandmother. I will massage my grandmother's legs and give her a rub down. "Doggy, you're quite a filial child," she would occasionally praise me in the and I couldn't hold back my inner thoughts. One evening, while I was washing her feet, "Grandma, I heard that the tuition in town doesn't seem too expensive." As soon as I finished speaking, Grandma exploded, pointing at my nose and scolding me right away. "You want to go to school? What kind of school? We've already put you through junior high, and you're still not satisfied. Being able to count money is enough. Where would we get the extra money for you to waste? Don't even think about it." I lowered my head, hiding the expression in my eyes, and said nothing more. "I don't have much time left. School is about to start in junior high. Grandma didn't want me to go. If I don't go now, it will be difficult to go later." What I didn't expect was that the turning point would come so quickly. A few days later, Sister Sarah from next door came back. She drove back in a shiny, gleaming little car. It instantly caught the attention of the entire village. Grandma leaned over the wall, gazing greedily at that little car. Seeing the stylishly dressed Sister Sarah again, her eyes sparkled with an indescribable glow. Unable to hold back, Grandma rushed over and grabbed Sister Sarah's hand. "Sarah, dear, what high position do you hold in the city now? You must earn a lot of money each month, right?" Sister Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. "Grandma Lincoln, I'm not an official. I work as a teacher at an elementary school in the city." "Hello, teacher. Hello, teacher." Grandma nodded repeatedly, then eagerly pressed further. "That monthly salary must be several hundred, right?" She cautiously mentioned a figure that, in her view, was already the ceiling. Sister Sarah was amused, shaking her head gently as she quoted the actual amount. The number struck like a thunderclap, ringing in Grandma's ears. Her body swayed, her mouth agape, unable to close for a long time. Just 1 month's salary was more than she could save from a whole year of hard work in the fields. Being a teacher, is it really this profitable? She murmured to herself, her expression shifting from shock to ecstasy. After Sarah took her parents away, Grandma dashed home like the wind, her gaze fixed firmly on me. "The way she looks at me has changed. It's no longer the disdainful look for a money-losing commodity, but rather the gaze one would give a golden goose. Doggy, you go to school. Grandma will support your education. You should become a teacher like Sarah in the future and drive a car." I was breathing rapidly, but I pretended to be calm. "I'll listen to Grandma. Whatever Grandma tells me to do, I'll do." Grandma nodded with satisfaction and praised me for being a good child. The night before departure, I was wiping my mother's body. Mother's tears kept flowing from both eyes. "My daughter, don't go to school. You mustn't go. What will I do after you leave?" I met her gaze, my eyes shining with an unprecedented brightness. Just as my brother had once promised her, "Mom," Grandma said, "I will become a teacher, earn a lot of money, and then cure your illness." Mom burst into tears again, her eyes filled with despair. Grandma gave me the tuition fee and a month's living expenses. Her fingers trembled as she counted the money, and she kept murmuring to herself, "This is all the money for your studies. Doggy, you must strive to make us proud, keep it well hidden, and make sure no one takes it from you." I moved into an 8-person dormitory room. It was crowded and noisy, but in my eyes, it was heaven. I almost Greedily threw myself into books. I was the first to get up every day, memorizing words and texts on the playground by the morning light. During class, my eyes were fixed on the teacher and the blackboard, afraid of missing a single word. After the lights went out at night, I would hide under the covers and secretly read with a flashlight. I often hear my classmates say that in today's society, education cannot change one's destiny. I don't believe it. For me, education will definitely change my destiny. The first month break, with the money I had saved, I boarded the tractor back to the village. When I got home, I saw my grandmother lying in the yard, basking in the sun. As soon as she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she stood up briskly. "Doggy, did you have any exams? How did they go? Were your grades good?" I froze for a moment but still answered, "There are monthly exams, and I'm in the top 3. Grandma muttered to herself, "Top 3, can you become a teacher with that?" I nodded firmly. "Yes, I can." Grandma was overjoyed. She clasped her hands together, bowed toward the sky, and exclaimed, "It's useful. This time, it's really useful." I was a bit confused. "Where's Mom?" Grandma's face turned stern. "Don't mention that good for nothing. She got married. Come, Grandma will show you something good." With that, without waiting for my reaction, she grabbed my hand and started pulling me toward Mom's room. I was still in shock from the news that Mom had gotten married. As soon as I entered the room, I heard a faint hissing sound. I took a closer look and felt my scalp tingle. I saw that my mother's bed was empty, with no sign of her. In its place was an iron cage. Inside the iron cage, a huge cobra was slithering around. Upon seeing us, it raised its body and emitted a threatening hiss. Grandma finally found out that the reason our family has been losing people one after another is because our debt is too heavy, and we need living energy to suppress it, so we must keep a snake alive for the family's fortune to grow stronger and stronger. "Look, your grades are so good, and you even managed to become a teacher. This is all thanks to Grandma keeping the snake alive." Grandma was so excited that she danced with joy, bowing repeatedly to the cobra in the cage. I looked at the scene before me and thought of the bright, clean school. At that moment, it felt as if I were in hell. It wasn't until the next day that I learned from a neighbor Mother was really married off by Grandma. It is said she was sent to the neighboring village. She was married to an old bachelor named Williams. Instantly, scenes began to unfold from the depths of my soul. Something seemed to explode in my ear. The drunken, leering grin of an old bachelor, the punches and kicks raining down on me, an endless expanse of darkness and despair. And now, is it my poor, pitiful mother who has to bear all of this? I didn't go to see her. Instead, I stayed at home with my grandmother, comforting her. My tone carried a hint of worry. "Grandma, I heard from a teacher in the city that snakes are indeed spiritual creatures, but raising them requires careful attention. You can't just feed them randomly. They say that at midnight, when the yin energy is at its peak, snakes are at their most spiritual and also the hungriest. That's the best time to feed them for the best results." Grandma immediately became nervous. Is that really true?" I nodded firmly. "That's what the teacher said." Grandma nodded repeatedly. "The teacher is so good at making money, so what she says must be right. From now on, I'll feed you at 12 o'clock sharp, making sure your luck gets better and better." I smiled and thanked Grandma. Grandma then patted my head and said, "Good granddaughter, when you become a teacher, you must take Grandma for a ride in a car and let her live in a big house." I had only been back at school for 3 days. The news of my grandmother's accident came from the village. When I returned home, the entire village had gathered at the door of my house. What a tragedy, to be killed by the dragon she raised herself. In my opinion, this is the heavens taking this madwoman, someone who caused the death of her son and grandson and sold off her daughter-in-law. How could she possibly come to a good end? When they saw me arrive, they all fell silent. Grandma was lying on the ground in the courtyard, covered with a white cloth. She had a wound on her forehead, her face was bruised and purple, and 2 marks on her neck were clearly visible. Beside her lay the corpse of a cobra that had been beaten to a pulp. "Mom," I knelt before her, wailing uncontrollably, crying out that I had finally emerged from the darkness, crying out that I could finally freely reach the light. I became the object of everyone's pity. The village sent a considerable amount of condolence money. The next day, I wrapped my grandmother's body in a straw mat, with the help of the villagers. She was buried together with her father and younger brother. When I returned home, I found my grandmother's money box. I counted all the old money together, and it totaled over 30,000 yuan, enough to see me through high school. I knew that 10,000 of it was the money from selling my mother. At the moment of parting, I entered my mother's room. There were traces of blood on the iron snake cage. The wire that fastened the cage door was still attached to the iron cage. It was clear that the cobra had squeezed out through the loose gap in the cage door. At my feet, there are a few Inconspicuous small round stones. Oh, Grandma, how could you be so careless and slip? I'm leaving. Moved into the school at that moment. It felt as if I had flipped a switch. My energy and spirit were completely renewed. My grades kept getting better and better. 3 years of high school, 4 years of college, until I entered society. I had an enviable job and, with my outstanding talent, even achieved an annual salary of several million. What I didn't expect was my mother somehow found me through some channel. I didn't specifically inquire about her news. I was truly astonished when she appeared before me, and by her side, there was a little boy. The boy was skinny and looked sickly. As soon as my mother saw me dressed so elegantly, her eyes instantly lit up. My doggy, Mom finally found you. Come here, come here. This is your biological younger brother. His name is Tom. Tom, quickly call her sister. On the boy's face, I saw the shadow of the old bachelor from the Williams family. I instantly understood that the reason my mother survived domestic violence was because she gave birth to a son for the abuser. Clearly, she was much tougher than I am. They were too conspicuous, so I took them and left the company. In the cafe, the sophisticated and elegant environment made Mom feel particularly out of place, yet she was exceptionally delighted, feeling even more that I was capable. Where is his father? A look of hatred flashed in Mom's eyes. He's dead. He was killed by a brick while working, but it's just as well. We got some compensation money. She turned to look at the little boy, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. But your younger brother has always been in poor health since he was a child. No amount of money is ever enough. I sneered coldly, with her body still suffering from the aftereffects of snake venom. How could the child she gave birth to possibly be healthy? My mother gripped my hand tightly, her eyes brimming with tears. Doggy, you must save your brother. I shook my head faintly. He is not my brother. My brother is called Precious, and he is already dead. He is not some Tom. As soon as the words left my mouth, my mother's face twisted into a snarl. Her voice instantly rose sharply. Doggy, don't forget that I gave birth to you, and I also gave birth to Tom. It's only natural for you to take care of him. You should use the money you earn to pay for his medical treatment, support his education, and in the future, help him get married and buy a house. That's your duty as an older sister. As a daughter, what's the use of earning so much money? Eventually, it will all go to someone else's family. Your brother is the one we can rely on in the future. I looked at my mother's furious expression. Only then did I realize that she had always been the mother who favored sons over daughters. Even now, with her hair turning gray, she hasn't changed. This time, she wasn't here to acknowledge her daughter, but to find a long-term meal ticket for her son. I smiled and said, let's not talk about all that for now. Let's go home. Mom thought I was listening. She happily went back home with me. How can you live in such a shabby house? Mom was a bit shocked. I looked at this dark, damp basement and said innocently, this is a big city where every inch of land is worth a fortune. With just a few thousand a month, being able to live here is already quite good. This basement was where I lived after graduating from college. It carried me through my toughest days. After I made some money, I bought it. It's to remind myself not to forget where I came from and to cherish everything I have now. You're so poor. How can you still afford to treat your brother's illness, and you still go to coffee shops to show off? I'm really speechless, Mom said, sounding exasperated. I smiled bitterly and said, your daughter is just an ordinary office worker. Going to the coffee shop was just to welcome you back. Mom's face darkened. A daughter is just a daughter. No matter how well she studies, she's still not good at making money. She can't compare to a son. I comforted her, saying, Mom, just make do for now. I'll sleep on the floor at the company and give you half of my salary every month to help with Tom's treatment. The medical resources in the big city are quite good, and there might be hope for Tom to recover. Mom was initially hesitant, but upon hearing that the medical care in the big city was better, she reluctantly agreed. Mom settled down with her precious son. I found a job as a waiter at a restaurant. Every month, she would promptly remind me to transfer 3,000 yuan to her. I never broke my promise. The money always reached her card on time. However, even with her monthly salary, her total income was only a little over 7,000 yuan. For Tom's illness, it was always just a drop in the bucket. I am aware of his physical condition. Due to the toxins in his mother's body, Tom has severe issues with his heart and liver, along with a seriously compromised immune system. He can only rely on medication to sustain himself, and the end of his life is clearly visible. Time passed quickly. Finally, that day arrived. I received a call from my mom. She was crying and wailing uncontrollably. Tom is gone. I couldn't save him. Sob. Tom was cremated. Mother held his ashes, collapsed onto the bed, and fell gravely ill. I understand that even the toughest fate has its end. After all, her emotional pillar was completely gone. I couldn't bear to see mother suffer, so I rescued her from the dark basement and brought her into my extremely luxurious, spacious apartment. Mother's cloudy eyes widened to their fullest, her breathing quickened, and her withered fingers trembled as she pointed at me. Lincoln, doggy, you lied to me, you're actually this rich. The corners of my mouth lifted. Yes, I'm rich, and I'll be even richer in the future. Mom went crazy, screaming at me. Then why didn't you save Tom? Why didn't you save him? He's your own brother. How can you be so cruel? I sneered. The son of some other man. You treat him like a treasure. What does he have to do with me? If it had been a daughter, you probably would have drowned her long ago. Mom, I know you only like sons. Sometimes I'm really happy for you. If you die someday, your 2 sons will definitely come to pick you up. How wonderful that would be. Mom fainted from anger. I took her to the hospital and saved her. Unfortunately, she was already in poor health this time. However, I could no longer stand up after that. I never went to see her again. Just half a month later, when I received the news of her death, I was having a candlelit dinner with a suitor. It was true that my heart remained unruffled. I only think about having a daughter in the future, giving her a completely different life, everything I lacked, regretted, and didn't dare to ask for in my childhood. Give it all to her. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My nephew has loved eating fatty meat since he was a child. Before he was even 1 year old, his brother once playfully fed him a piece of fatty meat. Since then, my nephew has developed a love for fatty meat. If he doesn't get to eat it, he cries and throws a tantrum non-stop. After learning about it, I explained to them the negative effects of feeding infants excessive amounts of fatty meat. Later, my nephew grew up healthy, attended a prestigious university, and found a job in a big city. However, the competitive pressure in the big city was too much for him to handle. One time, my sister-in-law saw a young man from their hometown doing a live stream. He said he used to eat fatty meat since he was young, but now he has become a famous fitness trainer, teaching classes for wealthy ladies every day, making money easily. Since then, my sister-in-law has held a grudge against me. She kept telling my nephew, if it weren't for your aunt taking matters into her own hands and not letting you eat meat, you wouldn't have to work so hard now. It's all your aunt's fault. One time I went to the balcony to hang the laundry, and my nephew held a grudge against me. He pushed me down with one shove. It's all your fault for ruining my good life. Go die. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn on the day my sister-in-law was feeding my nephew fatty meat. My son really has a big appetite. He finished a small bowl of fatty meat in no time. Let me wipe your mouth for you, sweetie. Oh, you want more? Coming right up. In a daze, I heard Heidi's familiar voice and realized I had been reborn. The sensation of impact and pain from the high-altitude fall had not yet faded. Heidi's voice sounded again. Kayla, go to the kitchen and bring me the fatty meat from the thermal container. Your nephew wants to eat it. In my previous life, when I saw this scene, I immediately stopped my sister-in-law from feeding the fatty meat and explained to her, the liver function of a 1-year-old baby is not yet fully developed. Eating too much fatty meat may increase the risk of fatty liver disease and could also lead to other health problems. Let's give Simon more lean meat, vegetables, and fruits instead. This way, he can have a balanced diet and grow up healthy and strong. My sister-in-law took my advice. Later, the nephew grew up healthy, attended a prestigious university, and found a decent job in a big city, but he had been spoiled by his family since childhood. He couldn't stand the fast-paced, high-pressure life in the big city. Before long, he started insisting on going back home to find an easier job. Just then, my sister-in-law saw a fellow villager boy's livestream. He said he had been eating fatty meat since childhood and now has become a famous fitness coach. He teaches wealthy ladies every day, earning money easily. Since then, my sister-in-law has blamed me. She constantly instilled in her nephew, you could have had such an easy life too, if it weren't for your aunt acting on her own, not letting you eat meat when you were young, you wouldn't have to work so hard now. It's all your aunt's fault. The nephew took it to heart and held a grudge. One time when I came home, while I was hanging clothes on the balcony, my nephew pushed me down with one shove. It's all your fault for ruining my good life. Go to hell. If you hadn't meddled in my business, I'd be a fitness trainer now, earning a high salary with ease every day. All you do every day is boss people around, and in the end, you're still just a corporate slave living off a fixed salary. That's when I realized my nephew is nothing but an ungrateful brat. No matter how much you plan for him, if you don't give him what he wants in the end, he'll immediately retaliate against you. My sister-in-law is also an accomplice, standing by and watching as my nephew pushed me down the stairs. I even colluded with my nephew to Gave a false statement to the police, making them believe that I had fallen from the building due to work-related stress and mental confusion. Meanwhile, they took over my savings and house, living a carefree and comfortable life. Now, back to the present, I listened to my sister-in-law Heidi's instructions but had no intention of taking any action right now. I wish to stay as far away from her as possible and avoid getting involved in any of her affairs. If I go get the fatty meat, the blame for my nephew eating too much of it will just end up being shifted onto me later. Given her knack for stirring up trouble, who knows what baseless accusations she might cook up against me. Having gone through the pain once, I've decided to respect others' fate and never meddle in their karma. Thermos. Which thermos? What color is it? When did our family ever buy a thermos? I played dumb. On the kitchen shelf, next to the microwave. Microwave? Which microwave? The epitome of a clueless college student. My sister-in-law rolled her eyes at me, realizing there was no way she could get me to do any work today. I turned around and started looking for my mom. Mom, can you bring me the insulated container from the kitchen? Your grandson still wants to eat. My mom, who had been watching the scene, reluctantly handed the insulated container to my sister-in-law, but while my sister-in-law wasn't paying attention, she quietly pulled me aside and whispered, "Kayla, look at how much fatty meat your sister-in-law is feeding Simon. Could that be a problem? Maybe you should talk to her about it." Simon is my nephew's nickname. You're a college student, you know more. Do you have any doctor friends you could ask for advice? Asking me to intervene. I risked my life doing that in my past life. Don't even think about making me the scapegoat again in this one. I immediately turned around and said loudly to my sister-in-law, "Sister-in-law, Mom said you've been feeding Simon too much fatty meat and wants to take him to the vet for a checkup. Should I ask my brother to help schedule an appointment with the vet? My brother works as a security guard at the hospital, so he's familiar with all the departments there." Hearing this, my sister-in-law immediately pulled a long face. "Mom, if you think I haven't been taking good care of your grandson, just say it directly. You come and take care of him. Don't gossip behind my back. What will others think of me if word gets out? Don't force me to spread the word about you cooking instant noodles for me during my postpartum confinement." After saying that, she snorted, hugged her nephew, and turned to enter the bedroom. "Hey, you child, I asked you to give some advice and persuade your sister-in-law. How could you just go and tell her directly?" I pretended not to understand. "Oh, how can this not be considered persuasion? I studied finance, not medicine, and I've never had children. I don't understand anything about kids, so of course I had to ask my sister-in-law to see a doctor. My mom saw that she couldn't get through to me and realized she couldn't count on me. She had no choice but to go and apologize to my sister-in-law. Not long after, my sister-in-law came out, now wearing a gold bracelet on her wrist. After what happened today, I finally understood that I couldn't stay at home any longer. If I stayed at home, who knew when another false accusation would come flying my way? I immediately started packing my bags, making sure to bring all my important documents, ID card, degree certificate, household register, bank cards, preparing myself never to return. After all, with the way my sister-in-law is feeding him, my nephew is bound to have problems sooner or later. This time, don't come looking for me to take the blame. Having experienced the pain of falling from a height, I can't let history repeat itself. Everyone must bear the consequences of their own actions. Before leaving, I asked a knowledgeable classmate to install a few hidden cameras in my house, just in case they try to frame me. It could serve as evidence. My sister-in-law was naturally pleased about my departure. My higher education always made her feel inferior. The one I couldn't bear to leave was my mother, since with me gone, she would be the only one left to serve my sister-in-law. My father and brother had become invisible ever since the child was born. Except when they showed up to sleep, you couldn't find them at any other time. Especially my brother. The child's father sleeps even more soundly than the child, so he's completely unreliable. Mom, I've arranged to do an internship at the school. Once I get my paycheck, I'll buy formula for Simon. He's the only precious one in the family. He should grow up surrounded by love. I buttered up my mom so she couldn't argue. I thought my years of education had finally paid off. My sister-in-law was very happy to hear this. "Then you should send your internship salary back home every month so we can buy fatty meat for your nephew. He loves it now and throws a tantrum if he doesn't get it for a meal." Wow, still thinking about feeding him fatty meat. I'm afraid my nephew will have a hard time growing up safely in this lifetime. I agreed with a smile, but quickened my pace even more. I immediately saved this video. After all, it was my sister-in-law who insisted on feeding my nephew fatty meat, and I didn't say a word. I was even kind enough to offer to buy formula for my Nephew, from now on, my nephew will have to bear the consequences himself. With years of work experience from my past life, I can use office software with incredible speed. Although it's hard to find an internship in the senior year of college, I still managed to secure one through my abilities. The internship I found is at a high-tech company, and there is a chance for a full-time position in the future. The company had just been established, and many people looked down on it, but it managed to prove itself. In my previous life, only those who couldn't find other good jobs came here to apply, and by a twist of fate, they became employees with employee numbers in the top 50. Later, when the company went public, many of them achieved financial freedom. Since I've been given a second chance, I want to seize this opportunity and strive to become a wealthy woman, just as I was diligently working hard for the future. I received a call from my mom on the phone. Her tone sounded a bit anxious. "Kayla, Simon is a bit chubby now, much heavier than the other kids. He also seems low on energy and gets tired quickly after playing a little. His skin looks a bit yellowish too. Do you think there might be something wrong?" As she spoke, she sent me a photo. "This isn't just a bit chubby, this is quite chubby. Okay, it reminds me of an animated short film featuring various animals that have ballooned up from being overweight. Of course eating fatty meat will make you gain weight. With the way my sister-in-law is feeding him, gaining weight is just the beginning. As my nephew's body fat percentage increases, the consequences will become more and more severe. Now, fatigue and yellowing skin could be signs of fatty liver disease. If it were an adult, exercising more, eating less fatty meat, and maintaining a balanced diet would lead to a quick recovery. But my nephew is so young, doesn't get much exercise, and is spoiled by his mother, so the problem just keeps getting worse." But I don't feel like reminding them. I didn't answer my mom directly or offer any advice. Instead, I asked in return, "What does sister-in-law say, and what does brother say?" My mother sighed. "Your sister-in-law posted your nephew's photo online, and many people said it's a blessing. That yellow signifies nobility and elegance, but I always feel something is off. Other families' children don't have this. Now, your brother is never home, only holding him briefly in the morning and evening. Seeing Simon so chubby, he even praises your sister-in-law for taking good care of him." Hearing this, I knew my nephew was doomed for life. Thinking about how he caused my death in my previous life, he deserved to grow up in this environment with little family education. What fortune. When he grows up to be a complete mess, he'll know just how fortunate he is. Suppressing my schadenfreude, I said with a sincere tone, "Mom, I don't understand these things either. I've never had a child, and I didn't study medicine, so how would I know about this?" My sister-in-law and my brother are watching the child every day. If something was wrong with their son, they would definitely know. Don't overthink it. Before I could finish, my mom got anxious and said loudly, "You may not have children, but you should know that a normal child wouldn't be as chubby as Simon. Other people's children are fair, plump, and clever, but our Simon has sallow skin and always seems listless. There must be something wrong. Are you really Simon's aunt? At a time like this, you're not helping to persuade them. Don't you care at all that Simon is unwell? Aren't you even thinking of helping to convince them? If anything happens to your nephew in the future, it's all your fault." Even though I'm thousands of miles away, they still manage to pin the blame on me for my nephew's problems, just like in my previous life. Ever since I advised my sister-in-law to cut back on feeding fatty meat to my nephew, whenever my nephew developed health issues, my sister-in-law would dump the responsibility of taking care of him on me and happily go shopping by herself. Later, they even had me tutor my nephew. Watching me get so frustrated with him that I was hopping mad, she would just stand by, casually telling me to be a bit more patient, saying that all kids can be a handful, and that my nephew is already smart. "It doesn't hurt until it happens to you, in this lifetime. I won't be indulging them anymore." My tone turned cold. Manage? How can I manage? Simon's biological father, mother, grandfather, and grandmother are all right there. When would it ever be my turn as a little aunt to manage? If you think Simon has a problem, why don't you just tell my sister-in-law directly? Why ask me to say it? Aren't you just using me as a pawn? I don't want to deal with this. Whatever you have to say, don't tell me. Go talk to your sister-in-law directly. I have a meeting to attend soon. I'm hanging up now. Without caring how furious my mom might be on the other end, I hung up the phone and set it to silent. Then, I uploaded the call recording to the cloud drive. Don't even think about making me take the lead while you relax in the background. When I get home at night, I fast forward through my home surveillance footage at double speed like it's background entertainment. As expected, my mom didn't have the nerve to confront my sister-in-law, so it turns out they really did see me as an easy target in the past, the moment I stopped following orders. They immediately didn't dare to stand up to my sister-in-law. Not long after, I came across a video of my sister-in-law hosting a first birthday party. My 1-year-old nephew was noticeably obese, with a sallow complexion and listless energy. My sister-in-law was still proudly showing off how healthy her son was to other relatives. My Simon is just stronger than other kids. He can eat a big bowl of fatty meat in one meal. I love to eat 3 meals a day, and I can't miss a single one. The other relatives exchanged glances, clearly noticing something was off, but no one said a word. They only offered perfunctory pleasantries, saying how well their nephew was raised and how strong he looked from eating so well. My sister-in-law took it to heart, holding her son in her arms and kissing him over and over. My brother took my nephew and fed him another piece of fatty meat. The first birthday celebration was held at a hotel, and I guess the meat was prepared with a spicy flavor. After eating it, my nephew's face scrunched up, and he kept sticking out his tongue, crying out "ah, ah," which made everyone laugh. My sister-in-law captioned this video with, "A child who loves fatty meat won't have too bad luck. Being fair and chubby is especially adorable." Chubby is true, but fair-skinned is out of the question, and adorable is even less so. The sallow complexion can't even be hidden by filters, and they say the luck won't be too bad. However, the luck really isn't too bad, with one parent feeding fatty meat and the other feeding spicy food. The nephew is still alive and well, so the luck is indeed good. However, the fatty meat had already made my nephew's digestive system fragile, and with the added irritation from the spicy food, it probably won't be long before he ends up in the hospital. Sure enough, as soon as I got home in the evening, I received a call from my mom on the phone. My mom cried out in a trembling voice, "Kayla, Simon has been hospitalized. The doctor said he already has severe fatty liver disease. You need to come back right away." As expected, he was hospitalized. However, I pretended not to know and asked with concern, "Mom, what happened? Why was Simon suddenly hospitalized? Wasn't he fine before?" My mother said with a sob, "I'm not quite sure either. After we came back from the birthday celebration this afternoon, Simon started vomiting. So we rushed him to the hospital. We initially thought it was just a stomach issue, but after examining him, the doctor urgently transferred Simon to the intensive care unit." In the background, the sounds of hospital equipment could be heard, accompanied by the arguing voices of my brother and sister-in-law. Heidi shouted at my brother, "The child is only 1 year old. Why did you give him spicy food at such a young age? Can he handle that much spice?" My brother retorted, "He usually enjoys eating fatty meat so much. Why is it a problem when I feed him one piece? What's wrong with spicy food? I grew up eating spicy food and I turned out just fine. It's because you haven't taken good care of him, making the child so fragile that he can't handle a little bit of spice." At that moment, a doctor came out of the emergency room, calling for Simon's family. My mom, my brother, and sister-in-law immediately gathered around and anxiously asked, "Doctor, how is our Simon doing? Why did he start vomiting after eating something spicy?" The doctor sighed, "Alas, it's not a problem of spicy food irritation, it's your child's liver issue. I don't know how you've been taking care of him, but he now has severe fatty liver disease. We are still discussing, and if there are no other options, a liver transplant may be the only solution. The family should prepare themselves. Please sign the medical condition notification form first, and then prepay the hospitalization fees." As soon as the doctor finished speaking, Heidi became anxious. "My Simon just had some stomach irritation. How could there be a problem with his liver? What's going on with your hospital? Are you just making up a diagnosis because our child is young, trying to charge us more? What kind of unethical hospital is this? A simple 4-drip at a small clinic could have fixed it, but as soon as we come to the hospital, you're talking about a liver transplant. No, I'm going to file a complaint against you. I'm going to report you online." The doctor was stunned by my sister-in-law's shocking remarks, but fortunately, he was experienced and managed to hold back his anger, explaining, "The child already has severe fatty liver disease. Have you, as parents, been feeding him a lot of fatty meat? How can you feed so much fatty meat to such a young child? The child is in a very dangerous situation right now, and we are working hard to come up with a treatment plan. If you continue to cause trouble, you'll only delay the treatment. After all, my brother works as a security guard at the hospital and has some understanding of various symptoms." I managed to persuade my sister-in-law and got her to sign the notice. "Doctor, how much will the treatment cost, and by when do we need to pay?" "This time, it's mainly the surgery fee. You need to prepay 50,000 yuan within 3 days, but if a liver transplant is needed later, it might cost an additional 300,000 yuan, and we'll have to wait for a liver donor. You should start preparing for that. My family can afford 50,000 yuan, but for 300,000, I'm afraid we'd have to sell our house to come up with that amount. That house is my Mother's life. As soon as I went to college, she turned my room into a storage room, not wasting a single bit of space. If we really have to sell the house, I wonder which is more important in my mother's heart, her grandson or the house. The doctor finished giving instructions and walked away. Only then did my sister-in-law snap out of it and scold my brother. Simon is usually fine, so why does he need a liver transplant? I already said, a few 4 drips at the local clinic would cure him. Why waste money here? At this point, my mom stood her ground. Her long-held suspicions were confirmed, and her pent-up anger erupted. She slapped my sister-in-law across the face with a sharp crack. Can you just stop? If it weren't for you feeding him so much fatty meat all the time, would Simon have ended up like this? No other issues. Simon is so overweight, his complexion is sallow, anyone can see there's a problem. And now you still want to go back to the clinic. Are you trying to kill Simon? Is that what you want? My sister-in-law was stunned by the slap. Normally, my mom never dared to confront her. After a long while, she finally snapped back to reality and yelled at my brother, Devin, you just stood there and watched your mom hit me. I really wasted my time marrying you. I'm more anxious than anyone when Simon is sick. I work so hard taking care of Simon every day. What have you and your mom ever done to help? Now you're blaming me for not taking good care of Simon. Is your whole family just bullying me? The more she spoke, the angrier she became, and in the end, she sat on the ground and started crying. It was only then that my mom noticed the call hadn't ended, and she tearfully complained to me, Kayla, come home and visit when you have time. Your brother and sister-in-law are already arguing, and we don't really understand what the doctor said. Simon can only rely on you. Great. Relying on me again? No, thanks. Don't even think about making me get involved in this. Not in this lifetime. I immediately replied, Mom, it's not that I don't want to come back, but I just started my internship and I'm on a business trip to the US with my supervisor. I can't go back anytime soon. If I do, I'll probably lose this internship. I overheard what the doctor said. Simon's surgery is going to be expensive, and I can help earn money while I'm away. If I go back, you'll have to support me. I know my mom has always favored boys over girls since I was little. From the time I started college, she stopped giving me living expenses. I had to rely on my own part-time jobs and student loans to get through university. Not bringing money home and freeloading at home is something my mom can't accept. My mom hesitated for a moment. Then you focus on your work first. When you return to the country, take some time off and come back for a visit. Wow, they still haven't given up on trying to get me to go back. I made an excuse about the poor signal abroad and hung up the phone. Few days later, I returned to the country. I took some time to review the surveillance footage from the past few days. The doctor contacted my brother and, just to be safe, recommended a liver transplant. Given the severity of my nephew's condition, waiting in line for a donor isn't an option, so they're asking family members to get tested for compatibility. This situation has caused a huge uproar in my family. My mother truly sees my nephew as her precious treasure and is urging everyone in the family to get tested for compatibility, but my brother started to back out. In the end, neither my mother nor my sister-in-law were a match, but my brother was. My father used fatty liver as an excuse to avoid participating in the matching. In the evening, my brother looked at the matching results with a worried expression. My mother feels sorry for both her grandson and her son, and she doesn't want to hurt either of them. Then she thought of me. She called me right in front of my brother and sister-in-law. Kayla, have you returned to the country these days? Simon is feeling much better and has been saying he wants his aunt to hold him. When will you have time to come back and see him? If I hadn't seen the surveillance footage, I would have believed it. Even without the surveillance footage, my mom's tone, like a weasel paying New Year's greetings to a chicken, wouldn't mean anything good. I replied, Mom, I just got back yesterday. How is Simon? I still have to visit a few places to coordinate with suppliers. I'm busy earning money for Simon's surgery and don't have time to come back. Maybe I should buy Simon a gift as a token of my appreciation. Since Simon is doing much better, that's good. I won't go back then, and I can save on travel expenses. Just making empty promises, absolutely not going back. My mom saw that I was being stubborn and didn't know what to do. My brother took the phone, his tone threatening. I told you to come back. Didn't you understand? Is anything more important than Simon? If you don't come back, don't blame me for being rude. Of course, I wouldn't foolishly go back. In my past life, they wanted my life. In this one, they're after my liver. If it weren't for what happened in my past life, I wouldn't be unwilling to donate part of my liver. After all, he is my own nephew. A proper hospital would only take a small portion, and the liver can regenerate on its own. But how could I save the murderer from my past life? Besides, even my brother, who is a match, doesn't want to donate. Why should I, as an aunt, rush To do it, I ignored my brother's helpless rage and hung up the phone directly. I'm curious to see how my brother plans to make things difficult for me. I live thousands of miles away, and I have never disclosed my address to my family. It's basically impossible for them to show up at my door. I haven't given out my boss's or colleagues' phone numbers either. Even though my mother has repeatedly asked for them under the guise of caring for me, I still haven't provided them. It suddenly occurred to me. Could they be trying to pull off some kind of online moral manipulation? If that's really the case, it would be better if you didn't do it. Once you do, you'll only have yourselves to blame. The evidence I have is enough to completely expose you. After that, my family stopped contacting me until one day at work, I noticed my colleagues looking at me as if they had something to say but were holding back. A close female friend privately sent me a link and explained, "Kayla, take a look at this." I believe you're not that kind of person, but this video has been trending lately. Could it have a negative impact on you? I opened it and watched. In less than 5 minutes, a surge of anger rushed through me. I expected them to do this, but I never thought they would go this far. In the video, my mother said through tears, "Our family is poor, and Kayla is the only one we managed to put through college. Her older brother gave up his chance to go to university for her. Since she was little, we always prioritized Kayla's food and clothing. Her brother even delayed getting married until he was 28 to take care of her, but who would have thought that once she grew independent, she would cut off all contact after starting school. Aside from asking us for tuition and living expenses, she never sent any other messages and never came home. Now that her nephew is sick and keeps asking for his aunt to hold him, we've begged her repeatedly, but she still refuses. We have no other choice but to ask everyone to help us, so she can come home and see." With just a few words, they pinned the label of an ungrateful college student on me. It wasn't long before the video calling for Kayla to come home and visit started trending. I was so angry that I ended up laughing. They said they supported me, a college student, but in reality, my brother failed the college entrance exam 3 times. So they had no choice but to let me go, hoping my future bride price would be higher to help my brother with a down payment. They claimed my brother didn't marry until he was 28 because of me, but the truth is, after graduating from vocational school, he was idle and lived off our parents. It wasn't until he finally got a job as a security guard that my sister-in-law agreed to marry him. They accused me of asking them for tuition and living expenses, but in fact, they never gave me any money. On the contrary, I sent money home every month, as the video was gaining more and more popularity. Suppliers who knew me also started contacting people at the company. I was worried that my situation might have a negative impact on the company, so I was just about to talk to the boss. Unexpectedly, the boss approached me first, expressing his trust in my character and offering to let me explain publicly using the company's video channel. After showing the evidence I had to the general manager and colleagues from the relevant departments, 2 days later, I began to formally respond. "Hello, everyone, I'm Kayla." I had just started introducing myself when a wave of comments calling me ungrateful and a thankless wretch immediately scrolled by. I ignored them, knowing that the current criticism directed at me would eventually backfire on those spreading the rumors. Regarding my parents' accusations of me being cold-hearted, please first look at the evidence I'm about to present before drawing any conclusions. I presented my brother's college entrance exam transcript, my bank card transfer records, the living room video footage, and the phone recordings. The direction of the bullet comments suddenly shifted. "So, is this because the blood bag isn't obeying, so they're resorting to cyberbullying? I'm sorry, miss, I was blind, I apologize." +1 Some netizens, with their overly compassionate hearts, criticized me, saying that even if my parents weren't good, I should still donate part of my liver to save my nephew. While showing my recent medical checkup results, I said, since childhood, when it came to getting vaccines at home, my brother was always prioritized, so I never received the hepatitis B vaccine. Recently, due to frequent business trips to various places, I accidentally contracted acute hepatitis B. Although I am recovering, I cannot become a qualified donor. At this point, I have completely detached myself from this incident, both emotionally and rationally. I let out a long sigh of relief and then ended the live stream. Those who initially accused me have now turned their criticism, along with the anger of being deceived, entirely toward my brother's family. Without a doubt, you can imagine how much this family will be criticized. I opened my phone, which had been vibrating nonstop since the live stream started, and saw multiple missed calls from my brother, my mom, my sister-in-law, and even my dad. I ignored them and immediately blocked them. From that moment on, this family had nothing to do with me anymore. Everyone went to my mom's video to criticize this family. Before long, The video disappeared. Since then, I've lost contact with my family. The original surveillance system was also dismantled by my family, but it doesn't matter. I've completely cut ties with them. Apart from a few $100s in pension support in the future, I won't provide any further assistance, no matter what they do. It cannot affect me. Their messages no longer have any effect on me. Whether my nephew lives or dies, and how well he lives, depends on his own fate. I consider myself a good citizen for not actively seeking revenge for the tragic fate of my previous life, but their news still occasionally comes out from the mouths of the folks back home. My mom and their online moral kidnapping made their family local celebrities, the infamous kind. Every little move they make is magnified and scrutinized, with people pointing fingers. It is said that my brother was pressured by my parents and still went to donate a liver transplant for my nephew. If the donor is in good health, they can lead a normal life after a period of recovery following the transplant. However, my brother has been lazy and indulgent since childhood, often staying up late playing games. Complications arose during the surgery, and his health has been poor ever since. He spends all day grumbling and complaining at home. My nephew was transferred from the intensive care unit to the general ward after his liver transplant. It seems that my nephew has recovered and can grow up healthy, but this is only the beginning. After the liver transplant, my nephew needs to take anti-rejection medication long-term and undergo regular monitoring and follow-up examinations, which involves a significant amount of expense. The brother and sister-in-law were completely dumbfounded. They thought that after the liver transplant, their nephew would be cured and could live like other children, but now that hope has been shattered. In my previous life, I stopped my sister-in-law's actions in time, allowing my nephew to grow up healthy, but in this life, everything is different. In this family environment, it's hard for him to become like other children. There was no other choice. The family had to sell the house and rent a small one to live in. The whole family squeezed into the small house, and arguments and bickering happened frequently. I thought they would continue living like this, stumbling along forever. I never expected that half a year later, the police would call and contact me. It was only then that I learned about the subsequent situation. Since the live streaming incident, after I exposed my family's true colors, they have blamed all the mistakes on my sister-in-law. They dumped all the household chores and the responsibility of taking care of my nephew onto my sister-in-law. Originally, because my sister-in-law gave birth to Simon, her status in the family was unquestionable. My mother didn't dare to embarrass her in person, but ever since Simon had an accident, my mother no longer regarded this child, who had become a burden to the family, as her golden grandson, and she became a hands-off parent, going out to dance in the square every day. When he returned home, he would order his sister-in-law to do this and that. His sister-in-law had no choice. Her own family also favored sons over daughters and paid no attention to her, a married daughter. She had no option but to endure it all. She naively hoped that once her nephew recovered, she could return to her old life, but life did not go as she wished. Instead, it took a turn for the worse. My brother was fired from the hospital and couldn't continue working as a security guard, so he had to take on odd jobs outside. He took back his salary card from my sister-in-law and, aside from Simon's medical expenses, gave her no extra money. Every time my sister-in-law asked my brother for household expenses, she had to beg humbly for a long time just to get 200 or 300 yuan. Within less than half a year, under all kinds of pressure, my sister-in-law seemed to have aged 10 years. My brother is even less likely to come home. At first, my sister-in-law was still deceiving herself, thinking that as long as she took good care of my nephew, my brother's heart would return. It wasn't until my brother brought up the idea of divorce that her heart finally broke. She calmly prepared one last meal and agreed that after eating, they would go through with the divorce the next day. My brother was completely off guard, never expecting that my sister-in-law would add paraquat to his meal. After the meal, my sister-in-law watched coldly as my brother struggled in his death throes. Taking advantage of his weakened state, she used a pillow to suffocate him. Only when she was sure my brother had stopped moving did my sister-in-law throw aside the pillow and burst into loud, hysterical laughter. My parents were spared because they were away doing odd jobs and hadn't returned home. When they came back, all they saw was my brother's body and his wife, who had gone mad. In a short time, my mother lost her son, and it was at the hands of her daughter-in-law. Both the victim and the perpetrator were family members, so there was no compensation to be claimed. Her son's body was cremated, and her daughter-in-law was taken away by the police. The only thing left for her was my sickly nephew. With no other choice, she had to take care of her nephew's daily needs. Frequent follow-up appointments kept her constantly traveling between home and the Hospital. The family's financial support relies solely on my father's meager salary. Sometimes, we can't even afford the targeted medication and have to borrow money from everywhere. She started searching for me everywhere, but since we had that falling out last time, I've made it clear to her that from now on, I will only provide alimony, exactly as much as the court orders, and not a single penny more. She has started calling me cold-blooded everywhere again, but this time, everyone has clearly seen her true colors. No one helped him, and no one gave her my contact information. She had no choice but to stumble through life like this. I suspect my sister-in-law is feigning madness to evade responsibility for the murder. My nephew, who caused my death in my previous life, has already died from liver coma due to lack of active treatment afterward. My sister-in-law, who instigated my nephew to kill me, went insane after killing my brother and is now confined in a mental hospital awaiting trial. I went to the mental hospital to visit my sister-in-law, to see the person who indirectly caused my death in my previous life. I showed her the video of that fitness trainer, who is still in middle school, and his mother is documenting his fitness journey. While playing the video, I said to my sister-in-law, "Sister-in-law, look at this child from the same hometown as Simon. He's already in school, and his parents have enrolled him in many fitness classes to keep him healthy." Yes, the fitness trainer's success is definitely not just because he loved eating fatty meat as a child. It's more about parental care and day after day of practice. But my sister-in-law and nephew only attribute other success to a single factor. They think that as long as this factor is handled well, they can easily achieve the same success as others. But life is never that simple. Essentially, my sister-in-law and nephew are the same type of people. Both are fanciful dreamers who hope to reap without sowing. My sister-in-law, who had been sedated and had lost her composure, suddenly became agitated upon seeing that account. No, I shouldn't be here. My Simon is a student at a prestigious university. I should be shopping at the mall. Why am I here? It's you. Why didn't you remind me in this lifetime? You clearly knew that feeding fatty meat all along was bad, so why didn't you tell me in this life? Did you do it on purpose? I want to be reborn. I want my Simon to live well and get into a prestigious university. I want to be reborn. It seems she has been reborn as well. The ridiculous part is, she didn't reflect on how she caused my unjust death in the previous life, but instead blamed me for not reminding her in this one. She never reflects on herself, only blaming others for not acting as she wished. But, Rebirth, he must be overthinking it. How could fate give such a villain a chance at rebirth? Walked out of the mental hospital, sunlight scattered through the shade of the trees. My enemies from my past life have all faced their retribution. I stride forward, stepping into the future that belongs to me. I have now joined that high-tech company and become one of the early employees with a low employee number. I believe that with everyone's hard work, our company will surely become a renowned enterprise, just as it was in my past life, and I will also become a pig in the wind, achieving financial freedom. A beautiful life awaits me in the future. In this lifetime, I will live well and focus on my career, let go of the desire to help others and respect their fate. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.